All right, guys. Welcome to the Everything Is Earned podcast. My name is Mike.
I am Tim, the co-host.
Yeah, and we're breaking down everything happening in the Cleveland sports world, as we always do.
As we always do on everything.
Yeah, on everything
all across
Cleveland.
the board.
Across the board, yeah. On all the socials.
In all the ways.
Yeah, as much as we possibly can. First of all, I want to just, before we get into too much about the episode today, I just want to talk about our social accounts for just a quick second. People are really triggered recently just because we post some memes and some things that just poke some fun at being Cleveland fans.
Well, we've posted a lot about Freddie Kitchens, and that is a hot topic and discussion right now because he's not done a great job. So you're getting a lot of controversy. The people who want this have stability and this have a coaching staff for more than 1 or 2 years. And then there's the other side that says he's not right for the job. Stability matters, but if he's not the right guy, then he doesn't belong on this stable foundation of the Cleveland Browns.
Stability is trash. I don't care about stability when it happens to do with a bad product. If you have a bad thing in place, being stable doesn't make it good. Like, you have to understand, get them to draw a better comparison. Like, stability for something...
So is Baker Mayfield starting all 16 games this season after the Bengals game? Is that not a good stability thing?
That's a good thing, but, did Baker get better this year? Yes or no?
He gained more experience, so I think that'll ultimately make him better.
But did he get better?
You get better in your failures, so I'm going to say yes.
You're going to say yes. Did you look at his stats?
You're going to get better in your failures.
Did you see how many touchdowns he didn't have?
Coaching matters. When we did right coaching, we'll see that year 2 made a big difference. Having failure in sports, in anything, makes you better.
If you are that type of player that can rise up from it.
And is Baker Mayfield that player, Mike? Has he not walked on twice in the college programs and eventually turned into the number 1 overall pick?
Okay. That's a good point. I don't disagree with you that Baker is a guy who overcomes adversity. What I will say that is a little bit annoying about this year is I'm trying to dig in and find some positive somewhere. And I like that you take Baker having some adversity as a positive, but he's had 2 head coaches now, and he hasn't really experienced winning to the point where we'd like him to experience winning. And there's a group of people out there that think that Baker might not be the guy.
Well, we've seen flashes of him being an excellent quarterback. We've also seen many flashes of him being tunnel vision, staring down his primary option too much, not trusting that could be a part of his offensive line and not trusting that. But it could be just he's not reading the defense right, or he's not seeing the gaps in the defense at a quick enough rate as well.
Okay, so going back to just the consistency piece, I like consistency at my quarterback position. I'm not arguing that. I am not a fan of consistency in the power positions like coaching, or even another position like linebacker when it's not up to par. And people are going to get mad about this, but I'm not upset about Joe Schobert not going to be re-signed by the Browns. I'm not upset about it. He doesn't fit the scheme, and to me, you can't get confused with production and value. Production value and overall scheme fit. Like Schobert's a good linebacker, but he's not going to warrant the contract he's going to have to get paid now.
Right, yeah.
You don't want to overpay for a player. Look what the Jets did. They overpaid for C.J. Mosley. Has C.J. Mosley lived up to the contract?
Have you heard from him?
No. Did what's his face? Who is the guy the Browns gave all that money to? Jamie Collins. Did he live up to the contract when he was with Cleveland?
Nope.
No. We had a defensive player that the Browns paid that actually lived up to the money. And you can remember in the last 10 years.
Dante Whitner. You can think re-signing
Remember Paul
Jackson.
Kruger? Remember Paul Kruger? Joe Schobert is Paul Kruger. That's who he is.
On the flip side of things, Paul Kruger was a pass rushing linebacker. Joe Schobert's more of that secondary linebacker that kind of helps off and gets the tackles and does all the little in between stuff.
I think
I agree with you. He's not an elite linebacker who's going to require the money requires the money that he's going to get.
you need to
and as John Dorsey, you have to pick and choose who you're going to pay and who you're going to replace in the draft, because contracts and money is going to come into in effect here, down 1, 2, 2.5 years down the road here, when Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, Miles Garrett's contract starts expiring. So he's gonna have to decide whether who he's gonna resign and who he's gonna let go. I think you're right. I think Joe Schobert, with what he's brought to this team and within that scheme that he doesn't fit, we talked about it, that 4-2-5 doesn't fit his skill set. It just doesn't add up.
What about like with the linebacking core? What if I told you the Browns could go pick up like a guy like Ryan Kerrigan next season? Would you take Kerrigan over Schobert?
For cheaper money, yeah.
Yeah, I think a guy like that is actually really helpful. I think what you make a very good point about the window and spending your money wisely. The Browns have a ton of cap space, but this is where you kind of round out the pieces, and you take this year. And one positive I will say with it is you take this year and you say, okay, we had all these great pieces in place, but what did we still lack to help us get to the next level? Coaching, offensive line play, and I would say a better linebacking core.
This goes back to what you were talking about earlier with that you're fine with turning over the coaching staff, because you don't want to be turning over your franchise players or ruining them like Baker Mayfield. You've seen time and time again where it looks like you drafted good quarterbacks and then you didn't develop them and you ruined them by not surrounding them with the right players. Players is fine, but you cannot also ruin your. I think we'll experiencing this differently because we're so used to the coaching staff and the players ruining those foundational franchise players. So now we're trying to decide: is it the players around them still, or is it just the coaching staff? Have we improved that it's just the coach? It's no longer the players' problem, and this team and playing to your personnel is the issue, and I think that's what it is here. You're basically doing trial and error with coaches and trying to find the right fit. I'd rather be flopping coaches rather than trying to redraft quarterbacks and your franchise players all over again.
I would say that you're partly correct there, because you look at the room of talent and you say this team is talented enough to go to the playoffs. You have enough in the room. There's something missing. There's some leadership missing. There's quality coaching adjustments, and there's quality game planning adjustments that just aren't happening. When you have a roster as stacked as the Browns did with superstar players, I mean, given you had some injuries, and every team deals with injuries, but look at that offense. You should have been scoring 30 points a game this year. And you're making it too difficult. You don't get that anywhere near that far.
If you're Freddie Kitchens and Todd Monken evaluating your offensive line, the talent you acquired, they just made it too difficult. You cannot utilize or you cannot run a full vertical offense with the offensive line that we had. We literally just traded away a Pro Bowler on the right side. And now we're trying to have Baker in the pocket longer. No, just run drag routes, run slants, and just do level combinations. It's really not difficult. And Freddie and Todd Monken, I don't know which one of them did it, but
look at Nick Chubb. He's leading the NFL in rushing, so something is going right on the
offense.
That might be. But how were you unable to scheme in and get the ball to your dominant wide receivers? I mean, Jarvis is going to have over 1,000 yards. He has over 1,000 yards. Odell's probably going to have over 1,000 yards. It just you're looking at it and you go, how the heck did the Browns end up with the NFL's leading rusher and a losing record? And I think you said it has come down to coaching, because you have these weapons and you never seem to use them to their fullest ability. And what bothered me the most about this season is that all the little trick plays that we loved so much last year didn't work this year, and they felt out of place and they felt gimmicky. What you have to do, I think, for an offense, I think you have to establish some more core pieces. Like, where did the RPO game go for Baker?
Where to play action?
It's gone. Where did play action go? Exactly.
One of the most...
When you have the best running game in the NFL, play action should be one of your main weapons. You should be giving Baker that rollout, the ability to scan the open field and take a look and open the defense up. Play action should be your second piece right behind the run. And we just didn't see enough play action this year. I really want to actually look at some of the stats and see how much play action was run this year.
Probably one of the
because
the bottom
it's criminal how much we didn't run.
Probably in the bottom half of the league on number of play action plays during the season. But it's mind-boggling to me how predictable Freddie's offense was this year. And like you said, you have the leading rusher in the NFL, and you can't figure out how to get your offense go or your passing game going. That's mind-boggling. If you have a great passing game, it should be able to open up draw plays and off tackle runs and stuff, and did some chunk plays. We did a first down here, or you picked up 6 or 7 yards here because the defense is so drawn to your offense or your passing game, and vice versa. And like I said, you have that super strong running game with Nick Chubb tearing it up, breaking tackles left and right as one of the highest weights in the NFL, and you can't seem to get Jarvis, OBJ, and when Njoku was healthy, the ball and keep the chains moving.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling because you thought this was going to be an explosive offense. You thought they were going to bring some real heat as far as what you'd see on a weekly basis. And it just never came around. So let's flip it. Okay, go ahead. Finish your thought.
You thought you were going to keep. This is Freddie Kitchens' main pull to be the 2019 head coach was, okay, bring over the steam at the back half of the season, and you're just going to add layers to it. You're going to add OBJ to it, and just keep the same thing going and moving, and then just decide to scrap it. Because, when you have success, that's when I kind of want to tweak things and completely overhaul my team,
Yeah, it was odd that he changed so much of the offense. Maybe that's because they brought in Monken, but it just seems very odd how it all transpired. It seems like they didn't quite ever have a game plan. There wasn't really quite an identity to what we wanted.
Why would bringing in Monken make it more predictable, though? He had one of the highest, the most efficient offenses in Tampa Bay the year before.
Tampa, though, but was Tampa scaring anybody, though? Really?
When you're flip flopping between Fitzpatrick and Jameis Winston the entire season, and he still had consistency throwing the ball.
I don't know. I feel like the thing that annoyed me most about Freddie is that he's pretending he was the smartest guy in the room, and he never really let up.
You can almost make a parallel with that with the former regime trying to play Moneyball with the draft picks. I
don't know. It was a very odd season in the way Freddie ran the team, and there was just way more drama than there needed to be for a roster with so much talent.
I think besides the drama, which is you could have predicted pretty easily, it was an odd season in none of the ways we thought it was going to be, and that's I think is the most frustrating part.
I'm annoyed that I have to wait another year to see what the Browns can realize, if they can realize their talent. Now, flip it to something a little better. Let's talk about what you're enjoying right now about Cleveland sports. I know the Browns are frustrating. What are you liking about Cleveland sports right now that you're really intrigued about?
Well, I'm going to start out by prices. Ticket prices are nice.
Ticket prices are nice.
So if you enjoy seeing games and enjoy the atmosphere and the crowd and this the entirety of the sporting event, then you can get downtown, you can enjoy the things that are going around. You can hop in Heineken and stuff for happy hour during the weekdays and post up at bars and stuff and and kind of spend a night there for pretty cheap with some friends, and that's always a good time.
The cost to catch a game, not very expensive
Not
right
bad.
now. I enjoy that. Let me ask you
Plus,
this.
there's still potential on all fronts. So sometimes you'll catch a good game, sometimes you're stuck with a dud.
I can hear you there. I can understand that. Let me ask you this: what's a good sports memory that you have down in Cleveland? You don't have to go so generic as to one of the big, the championship run or anything like that with the Cavs. But what's a good a good Cleveland sports memory that you have just from being down in a game?
I'd have to say, what was that? Game 6 we were at in 2016 in the finals run.
Mm-hmm.
Golden State was Cavs, and you had LeBron James and Kyrie Irving just going back and forth. Whoever basically got inbounded the ball, that's who was going to score that possession.
I love that one, and
the atmosphere was probably the most insane that I've ever experienced.
The loudest
at a sporting event.
It was insanely loud. I
felt like everyone was standing up the entire time, and it was extremely loud constantly.
It was every bucket, man. Every bucket everyone was waiting.
That game is what I want every game to be. People were so. We talked about watching players individually and in possessions and stuff. Some of our past podcast episodes, and we talked about how LeBron James fans just gravitate to him, and they do that without even knowing it, without just paying attention, just watching him at an entire senior possession.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that arena, that game, was doing that on every possession. From a pure basketball standpoint, from a fan, I that was the most fun.
I agree there. I think that everyone was paying so close attention to the game. And no one was on their phone. No one was having side conversations. Everyone was so focused on what was happening and was so in the buzz of the run that that everything was. It was all heightened too because we're on the brink of elimination. So you go on a bad run. You don't have a make or a miss, and then the game's on the line.
And you hear it. You hear the anxiety. You hear the angst in the fans too.
Do you remember when Curry chucked his mouthpiece?
We were going crazy.
Curry chucked his mouthpiece, and I lost my mind.
And we were all losing, and we were all trying to jump out of the seats and fight him or something. That's what the vibe felt in the arena at that time.
Everyone was livid. I saw the foul coming a million miles away. Curry was
upset,
destined to foul LeBron that play. And I could see it coming.
Yeah, well, yeah, switch, and he's backing him down.
And he thought he was going to get away with it because he's a superstar. And they caught him on it. They called him on it. They blew the whistle appropriately. And
because his fifth foul.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing. Okay. The refs
they put him in there.
Choked on the whistles. Here,
yeah,
and let it play out.
He left him in there. Kerr left him in there, and to his detriment, and
came back to bite him.
Absolutely, that was a fun game. I'll give you a lot of props in that Cleveland.
That's how I enjoy sports. I'm locked in. I'm paying attention on both sides, and I'm reacting. I mean, even with these tabs, I said it's a lot of fun. You'll hit some hits and misses depending on the game, depending on your opponent. But there's a lot of fun moments this season, and that's just how I enjoy sports. So it was awesome to see the entire arena experience that in the same way I did.
Yeah, that is a really good moment. I like that one a lot too. I'll tell you what I'm excited about and what I'm kind of involved in and paying close attention to is I'm kind of in basketball mode now. I mean, the football season's kind of winding down. It was kind of a weird, odd season. Not a lot of joyful moments. So I'm going towards the basketball side. I'm starting to sink my teeth into the Cavs and into what's happening around the NBA. And I gotta say, there's some really enjoyable basketball out there. And I just love the action you get from basketball as opposed to some of the you get in football. Not to say football is there's one sport better than the other, but I enjoy sometimes you lose a game like the Cavs did today against the Celtics. I know we're gonna have the Timberwolves thing tomorrow even, and we're gonna jump and watch the Timberwolves, and that team's not that great. And we'll see some really good plays.
They're supposed to be good.
They're not good. They've won 4 games in their last 20.
Carl-Anthony Towns is like the Western Conference Joel Embiid. Like, he can be dominant, but he rarely is. Like, most of the time, he's a pretty good player. Like, he's a foundational player. He stands out on the court, but he doesn't dominate. And every once in a while, he'll drop 40. Like, all right, Carl-Anthony Towns. Like, okay,
He's
that's the player
right
that you should be every day. And that's a big difference between great players and just solid, good players. And that's the Paul Millsap of players, pretty much. Like, if he was, but he's basically what I said Carl-Anthony Towns is. He shows up every day and does what he's solid at every day. And that's what Carl-Anthony Towns doesn't do at an all-star level yet.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I think the Timberwolves are like our favorite NBA disappointment right now. I think they're really funny to watch because they have the talent. They underperform continually, which is
kind of like
it's like the Cowboys.
Kind of like the Atlanta Hawks. What was another team that didn't?
Trey just turned his ankle tonight.
He did.
It was not pretty looking.
It was kind of like the Phoenix Suns of last year. Like, they have the talent, but there's no coaching to put it together. I think that's what this year Atlanta Hawks are. I think that's probably where the Timberwolves are. Don't they have Thibodeau? Tom Thibodeau?
Thibodeau. I have no idea who their head coach is. I
want to say it's Thibodeau.
Is it Thibodeau?
Because that's when Derrick Rose was there, and he tried to get a contract, and he ended up in Detroit with the Pistons. That's why it started up over. I think
I've never liked Thibodeau.
Derrick Rose dropped 50 last year with Minnesota. Yep, Thibodeau. I remember. That's why you had Jimmy Butler there too, and they were it's gonna work. And they had Todd Gibson. It was basically the Minnesota Bulls. Remember?
Yeah, okay. That was a mess. That was an absolute mess.
Yep.
Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau, man, what a weirdo.
To wrap this up, we have one more question. One more.
Oh yeah.
Segment.
What did you learn in 2019 as a sports fan or a Cleveland fan?
Are we doing it by team?
No, you could just do it as an overarching thing. Like,
what
do you think
you
learned
in
team. Cleveland sports?
With the Browns, I learned to kind of balance and restrain my optimism, especially with first-year coaches. First-year coaches. And then I learned that not having the greatest player of all time will make your basketball team worse.
That's true. True.
And I learned that the Dolans continue to be one of the worst owners in baseball or in professional sports. You take your pick.
Those are all good things that you've learned this year, and I appreciate that.
And I've learned I still like Cleveland sports regardless of all the disappointment.
I've learned this year particularly that I can find optimism even when things aren't very optimistic. But I will look for points to be interested in and to give me reasons to watch. I know it's really easy to say no, I'm not going to watch. No, I don't really care. No, I'm just the same old Browns. Cavs aren't any good without LeBron. The Indians, they don't have enough talent to go anywhere. They're a small market team. But I find reasons to watch, and I continue to do that. And maybe it's because sports to me is just so important to me, or maybe I just find so much joy in watching sports that I'm able to do that, kind of season in, season out. But I always have a reason to kind of turn the television on, to head to a game when I have the opportunity. I have this, just desire to support my teams and to want to see my city win.
I can agree with you with that. I think it's very enjoyable to see, and kind of keep track of your teams and individual players progressions throughout the year, and kind of dissecting and seeing if you can kind of get an idea of where the team's going and what the team needs or lacks, and it kind of predicting that, I think, to be a lot of fun. And I think that's what draws a lot of fans in is is like wanting that like discussion and that community of like of debate within a sports atmosphere.
That's what I like about podcasts, man. Like honestly, we jump on the podcast. I like having the discussions about Cleveland sports, about things that are going on, because I'm so passionate about the Cleveland sports that are like happening season in, season out, and I feel like you walk up to me anywhere and ask about a certain player or one of the teams,
And we're gonna talk about it for 15
down
minutes.
to have a conversation that turned from a 5-minute conversation into a 30-minute conversation.
Oh, I've done
What
that
bums
quite a
me
bit.
out the most, though, is when I go to have a conversation with someone who wants to talk about sports, and they cut me off after like less than a minute. I'm like, I have so much more to say. I have all these opinions I want to tell you. I want to hear what your opinions are. Then I want to debate them. I want to get into it about what we think that like our team's gonna look like.
We need to Photoshop that Talon Tower commercial where he's talking sports to that poor was that dry cleaners,
Mm-hmm.
and where he's going to stop it. Mike is the Cleveland what am I doing at the Cleveland Tower of this within the public realm.
What are you talking?
Not-
You saying rile people up?
No. I'm saying there's no filter. Like and there's no place that you want to have a discussion with.
Oh yeah,
There's no boundaries. Like you could be like in the men's room just peeing, and someone yells something about Freddie Kitchens or something, and then Mike just go off on a tangent. You're washing his hands, and then they get into it.
I'm just like I just tilt over. I'm like, he's not that good. like
He's too predictable.
His play calling was better last year. I'm ready to have to sit like stop and have a discussion with anyone who's trying to have a discussion with me. I want to talk about it, and I want to gauge how smart you are about your Cleveland sports.
With that being said, if you see Mike in public, feel free to go up to him and bomb him with opinions and Cleveland sports discussions. If you don't know, he looks like Mike Clevenger, and he's 6'6".
Yeah, I'm up
so
here.
he's not
Tall
hard to
people
miss.
of Cleveland sports, man. That's what we do. I have to say that what are you motioning over here? Timmy doesn't have Timmy doesn't have any good signals for me. I don't have any hand motion. Oh man. I just want to say that when it comes down to Cleveland sports, I'm thoroughly involved and I find enjoyment in any of the sports that are going on or that are in season, and I'm always happy to talk about it because it gives me this extra energy talking about Cleveland sports.
I think some of the most fun I have is knowing that I'm so damn right about something, and then for it to come true. That is one of my favorite things on this earth.
Do you remember this one last thing? Do you remember during the Cavs title run? I just remember like every day I woke up and I had the ability to have a full-fledged discussion about the next game and about like whose minutes are the biggest thing, or what the matchup is, and how vital will Richard Jefferson be.
Because your casual fans were locked in.
Can we figure out how to like slow down like Steph Curry? Can we figure out like what the secret is to beating Golden State?
And you get to enjoy it more when you're more invested and you're more knowledgeable of the players of the game.
I just feel like that was the height of it. And I thought that we were on the brink of it again with the Browns this year.
And the Indians.
And we might just have to wait another year.
And the Indians on 2016, that same year.
To ramp up. Yeah, I mean, the Indians we were deep in it with the Indians, too. I was putting all my marbles in the Indians' run.
And that championship run can propel fans, or just ordinary fans, to extend their, focused fandom several months, or maybe even up to a year or a couple of years, or maybe it changes their entire outlook on the way that they pay attention to sports and how much they care about Cleveland sports.
I'm just telling you, man. like the Cavs are still riding the wave off the championship. There's still fans that came out of nothing.
Although everywhere I think there's a lot
I see so much championship gear like on a regular basis.
I think there's a lot of Cavs fans, like Cavs badges
that are
similar to the Browns badges,
hiding in the bushes.
They're everywhere. I think a big one is I think a lot of countries in like Asia,
Brazil's big,
and South America. South America, there's a huge fan base, Cavs fan base in South America.
I'm telling you, I'm ready for the Cavs to show some promise again because I know there's a big group of Cavs fans out there that are just kind of lying in the bushes,
waiting for
just
the
hanging
playoffs
out,
to happen.
waiting for Kevin Porter Jr. to be good and to take over.
I think I've seen a little bit of hype in the Cavs fan over the last couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. I like to see it. I'm ready for basketball. So, all right, guys. Well, we're gonna wrap up this episode. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday and got to have all the fun sports discussions that were not about the Browns not being good. But I hope you guys all enjoyed time with your family and friends, and
I hope you guys have an awesome new year.
Yeah, be safe.
Make smart choices.
Yeah, don't drink and drive. It's always a bad thing. You will get busted, and you got Uber out there. Uber and Lyft and all the ride sharing things. Don't be an idiot. Just go out and bug your buddies to drive you if they haven't drank, or use your phone, or stay over. Just your best friend's couch is now your couch. Congratulations!
It is now your best friend.
That's now your own couch. You found a couch. My name's Mike, and this is Tim over here, and he's not allowed to speak for himself.
Nope.
I'll try. Want to try again?
No.
Okay. I'm Mike,
and we are Everything Cleveland. As always, everything here is earned.
Everything in Cleveland is earned, and we appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful holiday, and we'll talk to you guys very soon.
Peace out, guys.